Astroloca, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Ketu in all of the houses. Ketu in the Lagna, which is the first house. And here, Ketu is in the Kendra and the Turkon houses. This will give very good results, especially if Ketu is alone. Ketu alone here will make a person very ambitious, and it enhances the capabilities, and especially if you're aspected by favorable planets here. It can also make a person very famous and influential. It enhances a person's journey into spirituality, especially with conjunctions with good planets. It works very well. One thing that is noticed here is a person with Ketu in the first house acts like the planet Ketu themselves. They give off the aura of the planet Ketu, which is a planet of detachment. It's a saintly type of a planet. It's very aloof, very detached, very saintly, very simple. They look simple. There's something about them that is simple and almost plain like, but there's a niceness that comes through. They're very almost monkly in their way of how they approach life. They're not very detached to very many things. They could be somebody who is not very materialistic. This is someone who is very much into detaching from the world and going into spirituality. At some point in their life, they definitely will look into spirituality as they're progressing in life. So Ketu in the second and eighth axis, it bestows a lot of wealth. It might initially, you might have some financial problems, but there are rises in wealth, and it will be due to your own efforts and hard work. Now, the second house is a house of savings, jewelry, family business, your speech, the food that you eat. So with Ketu here, it's almost like you don't really care too much for what you're eating, or there might be even lack of nutrients, so you might be malnourished. That's something that is very Ketu related, where you don't really care too much to eat. You don't pay too much attention to what you're eating. When it comes to speech, you could be kind of careless in how you speak. You may not think before you speak. And as far as family business, you might have family business, but you might not care for the family business. You might not care to go into the family business. Here it also shows a lack of attachment with the family. There's issues that can be in the family because of this Ketu placement. So that is Ketu in the second and Rahu in the eighth. So Ketu in the third house. The third house is your younger siblings, your efforts, your courage, your local community, your hobbies, those types of things. So Ketu placed here actually is not bad. It's most unique, and it makes a person courageous, charitable, religious, and the person is successful even with unfavorable circumstances. The courageous nature helps uplift the ninth house, because Rahu is in the ninth house of good fortunes. And if it's in a fire sign, Rasi, which is like Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, then the results are even better. So the only negative here I would really say is that it's not really good for the younger siblings. It gives them trouble. So Ketu in the fourth house and Rahu in the 10th. So the fourth house is your home, your mother, your home comforts, the homeland, the luxuries you keep, the car you drive, your well-being, your happiness. It's your overall happiness. So the fourth house is very, very important in a person's chart. And the 10th house is it's your status in life, it's your career, your ambitions, and it's how you show up on the world stage. So it's status and recognition. So here with Ketu in the fourth, it's negatively affecting your mom. It's negatively affecting your home and your home life. So it does give a lot of mental tensions, and that's associated with the mind to the mother as well. So I would say that here it's not the best placement at all. It gives a lot of day to day, every day, because your home life is very, very important. It's to your well being and how you enjoy life. And how you actually enjoy your home life is how you perform out in the world. So if at home you're not doing well, you won't perform so well out in the world. Although Rahu here in the 10th is actually really good because that's your desires, that's your ambition. Rahu is like it's expansion, it's almost like an explosion, and it's out on the world stage. So here, somebody actually will give up a lot of home comforts to achieve a lot of success out in the world. So if they're working really hard to achieve their promotions and their work and to get the recognition that they deserve at work. Everything is about work for this person. They're willing to give up a day-to-day comforts in order to achieve those things that they need at work. So that's basically Rahu in the fourth and Ketu in the fourth and Rahu in the 10th. So Ketu in the fifth house and Rahu in the 11th house. So Ketu in the fifth house. The fifth house is children. It's your romance, your romantic life, your creativity, your knowledge. So here, Ketu negatively does affect the children. There will be some issues with the children. There could even be loss of a child. There could be some problems. So the child may not have a really long life. It can give birth issues, and it can also give birth of more girls or all girls to the person who has this. But it does give a good mind, a good intelligence. It heightens your unique intuition powers, and it gives you a great sense of your sixth sense is really heightened. So in that aspect, it's really well. Rahu in the 11th here will make the person very, very ambitious and hungry for a social life. So Ketu in the 7th and Rahu in the 1st. Now, generally, so the 7th house is your spouse, it's marriage, it's partnerships, it's the other people in your life, it's any kind of legal contract with another person. So here, because Ketu is a malefic, it's not considered a good placement. Especially if your partner that you get married to isn't on a spiritual path, then it's not really a good placement. There can be a lot of problems here. But if your partner is on a spiritual path, if there's somebody who is very religious, or they're into spirituality, they're into higher learning, then this Ketu is actually a really good placement because it'll do really well. And especially if your compatibility and adjustment with your partner is good, then the results will be good. So it really depends on the type of person that you're marrying and how that Ketu is showing up in them, whether they're spiritually inclined or not. It will depend on that, basically. So Ketu in the 8th house and Rahu in the 2nd house. Here, 8th house is hidden events, it's sudden events, it's losses, it's secrets, it's your in-laws, it's the inheritance, it's tax, it's anything that's underground. So it's those hidden things that we have. Everybody has secrets. Everybody has, their closet that they keep private to themselves. So the 8th house is the closet of your chart. And Ketu here is actually not such a good placement. It does give sudden bad results and troubles, especially if conjunct with Mars. It'll give accidents. I would advise not to drive too fast or not to trust anybody too much here, especially in Ketu or Mars Dasha. So this is a placement where you need to be a little bit more careful, and that's Ketu in the 8th house. So Ketu in the 9th house and Rahu in the 3rd house. The 9th house is your father, it's higher learning, it's religion, it's distant places. So when you're putting Ketu here, Ketu naturally likes anything religious, anything spiritual. So now here, this is the house of spirituality and good fortune. So here, it's not so great for good fortune, but it's really good for your spirituality, especially if it's auspiciously placed, and it can give great pilgrimages. It can give great spirituality enliftment. It can give progress in life. So here it's not such a bad placement because the house that it's sitting in is the house of religion. It's the house of faith. It's the house of higher learning and belief. So these are your beliefs. So Ketu put here is not a bad placement at all. So Ketu in the 10th house and Rahu in the 4th. Ketu in the 10th. The 10th is your career, it's your status, it's the world stage, it's your recognition. And Ketu here is actually not such a great placement. It creates instability and circumstances for change in career, and often. If it's in a good Rashi, then Ketu can give great results. One thing that I've seen here is that if you have Ketu here, the way you're supposed to perform your career. So let's say, like, you have, for instance, you have like movie stars. There are some that are very glamorous and some that are very, you know, they look like $1,000,000. And then you have the very simple looking people who are also movie stars, but they don't look it. They look very simple. Their way of presenting themselves, there's a simplicity to them. So when you have Ketu with this placement in your career, whatever it may be, you want to be simple in your presentation. You don't want to be flashy. You don't want to be in people's face. You don't want to be outstanding in that way where people, you want to have a simplicity about you. You want to have a almost not a spirituality, but like something that is simple and easy and humble. One thing you want to have is be very humble with this placement. And if you have these things with how you present yourself in your career and how you handle your career is with simplicity and being humble, then you'll do very well. Then you can see great heights. But if you present yourself in a very flashy, in a Rahu kind of a way, that's when you'll see a problem, and you'll see constant change of careers, because the way that your career wants you to perform is how Ketu is. It wants you to behave like Ketu in your career. So if you can do that, you'll do very well. So keep that in mind, and you'll see great changes if you can put those changes into action. Then you'll see Ketu working for you, not working against you. So Ketu in the 11th house. The 11th house is your elder siblings. It's your hope, your wishes. It's your liquid assets. It's your general networking circle. So it's your family and friend group on a larger scale. So Ketu here is actually not so good for the elder siblings in your life. It brings them problems, and for in that aspect, it's not good for them. So Ketu in the 12th house. The 12th house is the house of loss. It's the house of moksha, of isolation, of sleep, of bed pleasures. It's the house of when you're isolated. It's either you can go into meditation and be isolated. It's being in jail could be isolation. Being in a hospital could be isolation. So here, Ketu being placed here is actually, in my opinion, a good placement, especially if it's aspected by Jupiter. Then a spiritual journey is definitely a sure thing, and it can give moksha and spirituality with this placement. So this is definitely a good thing in your chart if you have Ketu in the 12th. So thank you for watching today's video. If you have liked today's video, please comment, share, and like and subscribe. Press the bell notification so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I look forward to presenting my next video shortly. And please comment below on what other planets you want me to cover and what topics you want me to cover. I'd be more than happy to do that. Until next time, bye.